The Florida Gators 2023 recruiting class is going to make an instant impact this fall in Gainesville. We're going to talk about that here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy Tuesday. Days are hard now with how many times we go live for commitments and everything. Brandon Olsen, find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. We're going to talk about which Florida Gators true freshmen this fall can make an impact from the 2023 class. We've spent a ton of time talking 2024 lately for damn good reason, by the way. Let's not act like it's just like randomly talking about 2024. Florida Gators have been killing it, but they also had a pretty dang good 2023 class. And before I even talk about the specific players, I'm also going to say this. There's going to be more than 3 freshmen that contribute to this Florida Gators team. I'm just saying the 3 most likely options here. First, Kelby Collins. I don't think that this is a surprise to anybody that Kelby Collins is headlining this list. And not that this is necessarily indicative of anything, really, but he is the highest rated 2023 commit for the Florida Gators. Which is fantastic. This was one of the big marquee additions that Billy Napier made. He went into Alabama, battled Nick Saban for Kelby Collins, and won that one. Kelby Collins was the 42nd ranked player nationally, according to 24/7 Composite. So Kelby, the dude there. He is 6'4", 277 pounds, what is this? And I think there's 2 main reasons that he's going to contribute early on. First off, his explosion, his explosion is ridiculous. He's absolutely explosive off the line. His quick first step is crazy for someone at, almost 280 pounds. People that big generally don't move that quick off the snap. So Kelby Collins having that's the key to early playing time in 2023 for Kelby Collins. And honestly, for so many edge players, because so much about being a pass rusher is how fast can you get into the backfield. And I understand that, yes, you need to defend the run, but let's be real. In 2023, the passing game is key for the huge majority of teams. So you need to be able to rush the passer consistently. Kelby Collins can probably get that done with some relative consistency. It's also important to note Kelby Collins is not expected to be a starter, so he's going to be rotating in against at least slightly tired offensive linemen here. So that's a big selling point here, is that explosive first step off the line. Like we've talked about so many great pass rushers, the number one trait is elite first step. Even at any level, you look at, let's say, 2024's recruiting class, Amaris Williams. I had Brian Smith here last week. I said, what is it about Amaris Williams that you love so much? He said that quick first step. So talking high school to college, that's the same trait that so many people list as the most important one, the one that stands out. Look at college to the NFL. Dante Fowler Jr. He was drafted, 3rd overall? It was either 3rd or 6th overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars way back when. Feels like a million years ago already. But Dante Fowler, that was his main trait. I have this image burned into my brain of Dante Fowler. I don't even remember who Florida was playing at the time. But Dante Fowler, like he legitimately was so dominant that I remember watching him. And he's just like standing up, like bouncing back and forth, like going on one foot and just like bouncing back and forth. And he's just chilling. He's going with the music that's playing, and they snap the ball. He just fires through. Like Dante Fowler Jr. had that incredible first step, and I still think that might be the best first step that I've ever seen, truly. Because I mean, he was just built different. Kelby Collins is not that quick, but that first step is so crucial for an offensive lineman. Because if you can get, or for a pass rusher, because if you can get past the offensive tackle when they're doing their drop, you can just throw them off balance and you can put them through heck. Okay, so that quick first step is going to help Kelby Collins become a legitimate immediate contributor, not just like, oh, he's playing there because they suck. No, a legitimate immediate contributor. However, on the flip side of that, both edge spots in Gainesville are thin right now. And I understand every time, because I know this is going to happen, every time that I say Florida's thin at a position, like edge, we'll say, Justice Boone starting, comfortable with. Princely Umanmielen starting, comfortable with. Behind them, there is little to no depth. Look at behind them. Jack Pyburn. I don't care if you like him, completely unproven. Kelby Collins, who I'm talking about, I think will be successful, completely unproven. TJ Searcy, completely unproven. Bryce Capers, completely unproven. Cameron James, completely unproven. I understand that there are a lot of bodies back there. There's almost no proven depth at edge for the Florida Gators. So Kelby Collins, that's why the door is wide open for him to make an impact, because he just shoved them open. Because guess what? It's Justice Boone, it's Princely Umanmielen, and then the field. And that's how we're looking at this edge group. And it's important to acknowledge that, because guess what? The two edge spots for Florida are not the exact same. You're going to have some guys who could play the F or the 5 tech, which is the defensive end spot that Princely Umanmielen played last year. And you're going to have some guys that can play Jack and that stand-up linebacker spot that Princely Umanmielen is going to play this year. There's going to be some guys who can play both of those. Kelby Collins is one of them. There's going to be some guys who play Jack and off-ball linebacker. There's going to be some guys who play defensive end and 3 technique. And there's all those variations. They're all going to happen. Kelby Collins can play both of the edge spots. Kelby Collins can play both of the spots where this defensive line and this maybe even defense in general is thinnest. He addresses 2 needs there. That's why he's going to play early. I don't care how you feel about anybody else that's in that depth chart at Jack or at edge. He can play both. And there is 0 proven depth at that spot. And if you argue with that, just you're an idiot. Like there's not, that's not even an opinion. There's 0 proven depth behind Princely Umanmielen. You could even argue that Justice Boone isn't proven. You could argue it. I would disagree, but you could argue that he's not proven. No proven depth at that edge spot. Kelby Collins, the door's wide open for him to contribute early, and I think he will contribute early. And then on the back end, we're about to get another key contributor here for the Florida Gators. But first, today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. Look, I'm recording this right before Florida plays LSU. Okay? I took the over. It's 9.5. I took the over. You will know if I made money or not. New customers, you can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Also, if Florida wins, I had 2 futures, and I'm just now realizing this. I had 2 futures. I placed one in February, one in March for Florida to win. It is plus 1,100 for the first one, plus 1,300 for the second one. So if Florida wins the championship, that's a fantastic day that I completely forgot that I set myself up for. But you cannot miss your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, as far as other true freshmen who can contribute immediately goes, I wrote on the side here. Where do I go? That's how I point to it. That's how I point to it. Right over there. This is just the worst thing ever. Right there. Right there. Right. I'm having a difficult time pointing to it, but right there. I wrote, there's a freshman secondary player that I think is going to contribute. Everyone is probably going, duh, Jakeem Jackson. I'm not. No, Jakeem Jackson is not the guy. I understand Jakeem Jackson, second highest rated player in the class for the 2023 class for the Florida Gators. I get that. I'm putting Jordan Castell. Okay? Because I mentioned Kelby Collins. He could play defensive end, the F, and he could play the jack. He can. Jordan Castell can play, and this is my opinion of what I think he can play, free safety, strong safety, star, and if you have a bigger bodied, slower-ish guy on the outside, you could put him at corner out there and feel pretty comfortable doing that. He's got that positional versatility. You're talking about somebody who, by the way, Jordan Castell last year when he was in high school played corner for West Orange. And it's also important to note that West Orange, if you remember when Jordan Castell committed, I had West Orange coach Chris Mitchell here. And, he said something that stood out to me immediately. And he said, we run a very similar defense to what Florida does. Granted, Patrick Toney was the defensive coordinator at that time. But like we've talked about ad nauseum, on the back end, this defense is going to be pretty similar to what it was last year. More cover 3, a little bit less quarters, but it's not that massive of a difference. So Jordan Castell played in a similar defensive scheme than he played last year. Last year, he played in a similar defensive scheme that he's going to play this year. Okay. He played corner last year, which, by the way, going from corner to safety is fantastic for a team where, guess what? You don't have much as far as cover safeties go. I love the addition of RJ Martin. Think he's great. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to be the cover safety that this defense needs. I think he can be. I'm not entirely sold. Kamari Wilson, I don't think will be the cover safety that this defense needs. Miguel Mitchell, I'm not sold he's going to be the cover safety that this defense needs. Dakota Mitchell, I'm not sold either. Bryce Thornton, I'd rather have Jordan Castell play if we're playing a true freshman. Deshaun Johnson, I'd rather have Jordan Castell play if we're playing a true freshman. Like, Jordan Castell has the door open because he has unique size and athleticism that the Gators, frankly, don't really have at safety right now. 6'2", 195 is what Jordan Castell was listed at on 24/7. Now, let's look at what he's actually listed at with the Florida Gators right here, because obviously that's a bit of a distinction. He's listed at 6'2", 205. There's nobody in the secondary at safety that has that length and weight, aside from Jamarcus Weston, who was a wide receiver last year. Okay? So Jordan Castell has the leg up as far as just the unique size and athleticism that, like I said, no one really has in this secondary. And when you're talking about someone who has experience playing as a cornerback in a defense that goes a lot of cover 3, a lot of quarters, now you're going to play safety. And granted, I believe that playing the deep safety spot in cover 3 is way more difficult than playing just the boundary in cover 3. But he's going to make that transition. He's had this entire time to work on doing that. And like I mentioned before, like similar to Jack, you're very thin at safety, but guess what as far as safety goes too? Not only are you thin at safety, at the top, you're not great either. Because like right now, we're looking at Miguel Mitchell and Kamari Wilson as the likely options for starting safety. Not proven, right? Like they're not proven. That's not even up for debate also. They were both true freshmen last year. Miguel Mitchell played mostly star last year. And Kamari Wilson was mostly a box safety, and the only time he really worked as a deep safety option was against Eastern Washington. Like, he didn't do that against SEC teams at a consistent level. Granted, part of that's that he didn't get playing time at a consistent level or get the opportunity to do that at a consistent level. But guess what? That's what we're talking about when we say he's not proven. Like, I'm not saying they can't work out. I'm saying they're not proven to work out. So the door is open for Jordan Castell to find success. I think the starting safety duo truly might be Miguel Mitchell, RJ Martin, and then have Kamari Wilson and Jordan Castell as your first guys off the bench or first guys into the rotation at safety. And if it's Jordan Castell, let me tell you, I'm going to be cool with it. No problem with it. Like I said, he has just traits that you don't have in this safety room aside from him. Jamarcus Weston has the size, does not have any experience playing in the secondary. Like this is what we're talking about when we say you've got these young guys who are going to play. And here's another thing. You want more proof he's probably going to play? Do you know how we spent the entire season last year going, well, there's going to be playing time available at this spot next year. That time is here. Like, so that playing time that we said is going to be available this year, it's here. Jordan Castell is going to have at least an opportunity to contribute to this defense early on. We have one more guy to talk about, and we're going to the offensive side of the ball for this one, but we're going back to the trenches for this one as well. Knijeah Harris is the guy that we're going to talk about because guess what? Whether you like it or not, he's probably going to play at least a little bit early on. And I will say, I need to say this right. Not that I don't think he deserves it, but I wouldn't play him very early if it were up to me. But again, Rob Sale and Darnell Stapleton, 2 reasons here. 1, they make a hell of a lot more money than I do to make these decisions. And 2, they're a hell of a lot more qualified than I am to make these decisions. If it were up to me, Rod Kearney, who played guard in high school, would play guard in the SEC, and he would be the guy right now. But that's not the case. Knijeah Harris, who played center in high school, is playing guard here. And Knijeah Harris, who, by the way, played in the spring game, started in the spring game, and played a lot in the spring game, and didn't play awful in the spring game, he's still at that guard spot. Micah Mazuka, the big-time ad for the Florida Gators from Baylor, who, last year, Osiris Torrance was the highest-rated guard in the country, according to Pro Football Focus. Micah Mazuka, second highest-rated guard in the country, according to Pro Football Focus. Micah Mazuka, right now, his status is still up in the air as to when he'll be ready and if he'll be ready. Don't forget, Micah Mazuka is also the one where he transferred to Florida during this January window. Then, a few weeks after he was on campus, he was like, you know what? I'm going to hit the portal again. And then they sorted things out, and he's coming back. But, he could be 1 foot out the door here. And we'll really see about if and when he's going to be playing for the Florida Gators this fall. Because, again, there's still that labrum issue that we're talking about for Micah Mazuka, who he may or may not be available. But Knijeah Harris is like the next man up there. Even if he's not being thrown into the starting role with Micah Mazuka. Florida last year rotated on the offensive line a bit. Even if Micah Mazuka plays, Knijeah Harris is a second left guard. Like, he's going to be second on that depth chart. Jalen Farmer is going to be at right guard. Unless Riley Simmons overtakes one of them, Knijeah Harris is still going to be a rotational piece on this offensive line. I'm comfortable with him being a rotational piece. I'm not comfortable with him playing a ton of snaps. And also, Knijeah Harris, like I mentioned, played center in high school, learning how to play guard right now. It's not unrealistic to say, hey, if injuries pile up, which 1, they already have, and 2, they could continue to pile up, which they probably will, because I don't know if you know this, they're playing a sport called football. It's pretty damn physical. It's pretty damn intense. And it's pretty wearing on the body there. Then Knijeah Harris could be thrown into early snaps in Gainesville. Like that's just how things work. And when you're playing the SEC, yeah, going to be pretty difficult. Especially also, let's just talk about this. If he's healthy, Knijeah Harris is going to play snaps week 1 against Utah. Okay? Because as much as Florida Gators fans, myself included, go, hey, you can't come to the swamp and deal with all this humidity and be just fine. Same way we say that about humidity. You can't go to Salt Lake City in Utah and deal with all that elevation and be fine. So week 1, it sucks, especially because week 1, you're going to go to Utah, and a lot of these freshmen are probably going to play a lot more than they expected to because a lot of the starters are probably going to be pretty tired. Utah's going to play a physical brand of football because guess what? They're Utah. That's what Utah does. Then you're going into that elevation, and it's going to be harder. It's your first game back. It's going to be harder. All these things are going to pile up at some point, and Knijeah Harris is going to play this year. Whether or not you agree he should be the next freshman to play a lot, up for debate. But I think realistically, he's up there as far as guys who are going to play early. Now, granted, you could have included, or I could have included, we could have talked about Andy Jean here. We could have talked about Roderick Kearney, although I don't think he's necessarily going to play a ton early. We could have talked about him. We could have talked about TJ Searcy. We could have talked about Sharif Denson at star. We could have talked about Jakeem Jackson on the outside at corner. But as far as looking at 3 of the most likely Gators to contribute early as true freshmen, I think it's Kelby Collins, Jordan Castell, and Knijeah Harris. Whether or not you agree or like any of those, that's what I think it is. And if you do disagree, or if you do have a different freshman that you think is going to be a contributor, or if you have a different top 3, put it in the comments. Let me know. Let's debate, because I'll tell you, today I'm gonna have time to do it. So let's talk about those. Thanks for honking right as I'm wrapping up. But thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Please do make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and review. Join the Locked On Gators Discord. Links in the description below. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole 9 Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. And I will see you all tomorrow.